Everyone on YouTube is trying to tell you how you should use these 10 new AI tools that came out this week right now. I'm going to explain to you why you should ignore 99% of them. Do you ever feel like you're drowning in AI news, a new model, a new game-changing app, a new threat to your business every single day? This feeling of AI FOMO is not an accident. It's designed to distract you. I'm going to show you a simple mental framework that will save you hundreds of hours of anxiety and FOMO, so you can actually focus on what's actually important for the next year. It's a 3D filter system for processing AI trends, so you can ignore the ones that are just fleeting and not useful at all long term, and so you can focus on what's really important. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how I deal with AI trends, so you don't suffer from shiny object syndrome, which most people in this space suffer from. I'm going to give you my system of making sure that I don't use my own emotion and get excited for hypes, and I can stay grounded and make sure I don't waste my time on any new development, but only on the most important development. It will save you a lot of hours of anxiety and FOMO and negative feelings, and just allows you to operate and execute a lot better, because this framework will help you filter out the noise and have less emotional attachment to these new trends, or feeling like you're left out, or all those types of things. So let's be honest here. Every time a new GPT model like GPT-5 comes out, or for example, Google VO3 or Kling AI, all those types of the new developments always make you feel like you're behind, or that you should be the first to capitalize on it. You start self-doubting yourself, your company, your expertise, but it's all mostly noise. Now, VO3, for example, was very useful and turned out to actually live up to the hype to a degree. You know, it still has issues like the subtitles that randomly appear, even though you tell it not to show subtitles. GPT-5 came out recently, of course. A lot of hype around it. You know, Sam Altman making these tweets about like the Death Star, I think it was, image. And then people, you know, lots of engagement, people speculating, oh, the end is coming, this and that. Turns out GPT-5 is not that powerful. So a lot of the AI trends you see is just a lot of speculation, a lot of hype, a lot of marketing talk, and all that type of jazz. So you got to kind of filter out most of those wherever you can. So to deal with these problems and, you know, negative consequences, I'll explain to you my 3-step filter of how to avoid all of that stuff, so you can objectively and systematically look at a new trend. So AI FOMO is killing your productivity, because that's what it did for me for a long time. You got to go through the filters, right? So first of all, when you find new information, it's either from the news, it's either from YouTube, could be from X or Twitter, could be from Instagram, right? People make content who say, oh, this new tool is going to kill your business. Oh, this new AI tool is going to bankrupt video editors. And just for the sake of clarity, there still is no single AI tool or tool out there in general that will replace an actual video editor, right? You still need an editor to actually do the stuff. So these are the kinds of places usually people get their anxieties from, right? They're scrolling YouTube. It's like, oh, this new AI tool is killing your gains. Oh, this X or Twitter thread about this new AI tool coming out in the next 2 months. So it's real promise. Maybe I should focus on that and do more research on it. But 90% of all of this stuff you should ignore. So this is the first filter, the ignore filter. 90% ends up in this part of the filter and doesn't go through. So what does it mean? First of all, for any AI tool that comes out, is there an API available, yes or no? Because no matter how good a tool is, if it doesn't have an API, it's not really any use for clients that you're going to serve. If it doesn't have an API, but you want to use it for yourself to test it out, whatever, of course, go ahead. But as a general rule of thumb, it won't get you any actual result or generate you any revenue unless you plan on using it for yourself to monetize in a different way and not use it for clients. Because once again, if there is a new AI tool out there that will help create images, but it doesn't have an API, but you do see for your, let's say, your niches for restaurants, so you help restaurants create menus or graphic assets, for example, you still would need to manually make it in that new AI tool because there's no API for it. If there's no API for it, you cannot automate it further. You cannot make it a automatic process. So you have to do manual work. So then you might as well just keep it as it is and let the client do it themselves, because what's the use in that case, right? So if there's no API involved, then it should end up here in this part of the filter. Second, if it's only a small increase. So let's say, oh, this new AI model is 10% faster. Yeah, that's nice, but it's not really worth it to then migrate all of your steps in the process or the entire automation workflow to this new model. It doesn't make any sense, right? So only if it at least doubles, so 2x, so 100%, then it might be worthy to consider to migrate it. Now at 10x or, 1,000%, that will be very interesting. And most important, does this new AI model, does this new AI image generation or video generation actually solve a problem for your client? Now, Google VO3, when it came out, that does solve a lot of problems. Doesn't really have a robust API yet, in my opinion, but it does solve the issue of, hey, we need to create engaging and captivating Facebook ads with video, and instead of, spending money on actors, a set, a videographer, etc., with a good prompt or several good prompts, you can make a pretty good ad with Google VO3 alone, which would be a lot cheaper than actually going through the monetary but also mental effort of making an actual ad. So Google VO3 would be able to solve the problems. It wouldn't have an API though. So that's a bit of a personal decision to figure out, okay, would it solve a problem? Yes. Is there an API? No. So I would still need to do manual work. And then it's a decision you have to make for your business model, and for your personality as well. Am I willing to put the time in to build such systems for clients that requires manual work? So if an AI tool passes all of these questions and goes through, so then we get to the second filter, the monitor filter. This is where 9% of all those trends and tools and whatever end up. So we pass the first step, the first filter basically, right? Within monitor, the question is there a wait list? So should I wait and then check it out myself? So one example of this is Manus AI. Had a wait list. Now they have increased capacity. You can sign up for free. You can try it out. But they were really hyped as well. Not sure if the API is there yet, but it does solve problems because you can ask it to do certain things and it will actually go through like an actual research agent, for example. You can even build web apps as well, just like Bold.new or Lovable can do as well to a degree. Then second step in the second filter is it a foundational piece of tech? So GPT-5 is foundational, right? It's an actual widely available and widely used LLM. It's one way to think about it. Then we also have, Google VO3, which wasn't really foundational because VO2 was kind of okay, but VO3 definitely. Midjourney, for example, a few years ago was definitely a foundational image generation model that was widely used and pretty powerful. Nowadays, it's still up there, but there's a lot of competition at a kind of similar level as well. So those are some things to keep in mind. And also for your business. So let's say you're an AI automation agency that provides chatbots. Now, if a new version of, VoiceFlow or SynthFlow or any of these other platforms comes out, question is, should I migrate it to this new version for my client? What's the actual use of it, right? But that's if you're a AI automation agency that builds and offers chatbots using VoiceFlow, and VoiceFlow, for example, tends to update a lot. After 6 months, you can ask yourself, okay, I've had this client for 6 months. Should I upgrade them to a new version of VoiceFlow or a new version of SynthFlow or any of these other chatbots, right? And then that's up to you to figure out using this filter as well, because maybe there is no new use, right? Maybe the improvement of the new version is maybe 10%, might not be worth it. But if it's 1,000%, so a 10x instead, that could be very useful. And then third step in the second filter, do my competitors actually use it, or is it overlooked by them as well? Because you need to check on your peers and your competitors. And that way you also know how the market is moving, how the market is shifting, if the tech savviness of the mainstream public is also increasing, yes or no. Because that also informs you as an AI agency owner or as a business owner who's just starting out of how advanced the population is getting. So with this, you've already filtered out 99% of it all, right? And then the 1% that will be left after this is the integrate filter.